Right, we're still working on the coupe sill replacement. So I've just got these sills clecoed on at the moment. These sills are off a sedan. Not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but this is what they look like when you get them. Here's the one for the left-hand side. So you can see it's got a full end on it that fits the front of the sill, and it has the back section here, which has these, I don't know, the jacking point part moulded into it. What I worked out, that's not actually correct. It doesn't have that jacking point moulded into the sill panel on a coupe, and I'll show you why. What I tried to do initially was using a full sill from a sedan, put it on the side of the coupe like this, and as you can see where it starts up this end here, as I travel down, the camera tracks me down here, it doesn't actually make it to the end of the sill. In actual fact, it makes it the edge of the sill. What's normally here is the dog leg, where the back door on a sedan would shut. So the back door would shut up around this sort of location here, go up the back and cut off. But this is a coupe, so it has this sort of front quarter panel section. So it comes up short. So when I straightened it out, I straightened up the lip to try and get a bit up the top here, and then I was going to planish this and get it nice and smooth and replace it there, because it would have been sufficient to take out the rust that I have in this part of the panel here, but in actual fact it's not long enough. And when I took the sill off, you'll see what happens when we look underneath it. So if I get the old Cleco tool, take these two Clecos back out again. For anyone that doesn't have this Cleco tool, not sure if you can see that, but as you squeeze the trigger, it pushes the pin out and it goes skinny at the end and it fits in a small hole, and as you open it up, it widens up and it holds the panel through the holes that you drill in ready for it. So when I take this panel off, what it showed me was that the piece behind there, which is this piece here, was fully rusted through. So you can see here where I've made a replacement piece and put it in there. So that's that piece that goes right in there. So that section there is where I've welded a new one in. That's when I measured that was like 1.7 mil plate, which is what I used in there. And it has that divot there, which the sill panel normally sort of fits, where the bottom of the sill on a sedan would normally fit in there, but on a coupe it's different. So behind here there's a secondary panel. So behind this panel is in behind here, right? So it goes kind of like that. And then this piece here is the lower part of where that jacking point is, and it normally fits in kind of like that there. So you can sort of see how much rust was missing out of the front of this piece. So have a look at the front of that there, and you can see that big gap that's there. I could have cut that little piece out and replaced it. In actual fact, that's what I was doing to start with. I made a piece. I don't know where I put it now, but there it is. I actually made a piece that fits in that gap there. Fits in that way, sorry. Made a piece that fits in that gap there. I just used a bit of 2 mil plate, heated up the center of it, ground a ball or machined a ball on the end of a bolt, and put it on my press and pressed it against the socket. It made quite a neat little ball there. But when I looked at this panel, it was substantially different. So hopefully you can sort of see that there of how it looks. Has a big chunk missing out of it. And if I just replace that section like I was going to, this little piece here, and then put a plate in there, what it would have left was all this rust and crap behind that section. So this is outer skin, inner skin. This is the inner skin of that guard there, right? So that goes into the secondary piece up under here at the back. This is that secondary piece that's under there. So the piece comes down, has the jacking point built into it like that. And then it has these little relief sections here. These little relief sections here match up with this is a front quarter section for a coupe. This is just a rare spares item, I think it is. Where was this from? A Vesca. seems to fit pretty good. Seems to be the right shape and everything for that bit there. Kind of goes in there like that. But if you look underneath it, it doesn't have that full piece like the doesn't have that full section under there. I'm not sure if that's focused on there or not. But you can see the sedan one has the bottom bit in, and you can see the coupe one doesn't. So the coupe one has that rusted out piece that I talked about, and this panel here normally fits inside. Let me just get this lined up for you. So when you line up this piece and this piece together, you see that indented section there, and you see these slots that are in the bottom of it. They line up together there, so when it fits together inside your sill, all those pieces align, and that's your drip hole for any water that gets in the coupe window there. So when you're looking inside the panel, they kind of look like that. This skin comes up inside and goes to your inner quarter in there, and this is how much rust was missing out with where's that rusty piece? I shut down there, here it is here. And you can see that rusty piece fits in there like that. And that's what lines up as that same piece that's on the sedan. So that's the inner skin out of 1.7 mil for the jacking point inside the coupe. Oh, sorry, inside the coupe quarter like that. So yeah, I would have been left with a significant amount of corrosion and rust still in the panel. Now look how dirty that looks compared to that new panel. I'm not sure if the light's catching that how it should. But yeah, this piece here, the inner piece, gets spot welded to the bottom of here first, under the quarter, under the sill, and then that outer skin gets spot welded on top of that as the outer skin. So you can imagine all the dirt and crap that forms inside this quarter panel here, falls down inside, drops into the sill here. If it blocks these two front holes that are in the outer skin, all that moisture and shit goes to the back here and tries to drip out around that jacking point, and all it does is corrode it away. And like, I can punch holes in this anywhere I need to with this bit of metal here. It's that thin. This would have been a significant issue for myself or anyone down the line that would have purchased the coupe off me. Anyone's done an outer quarter and this looks a bit sketchy, you should cut this inner part out because look what you find. I'll show you the actual inner sill. Or the outer sill, sorry. So this piece here, where does that fit? That's the front. So this is the front of the sill. Goes on there something like that. And then this was the back part back here, and I got a small piece on the floor there somewhere that will cut that out. So as you can see, all these pieces fitting together here. Let me just fix this camera up a bit. All these pieces fitting together here look pretty good. A couple of little pinholes in the front, a couple of pinholes at the other side. So over here there's some pinholes, over there there's some pinholes. Looks pretty good down the skin. On the back quarter bit there, it looked pretty good. Looks like someone's patched it there in the past, but not too bad. But when you open it up inside, what you can see is some dirty old patch repair here. Looks like someone's done it with Aussie and a welding rod, which looks really bad. A lot of body deadener painted inside here, rust down the bottom. On the inner side of the sill for the front, dirty old, must have been a MIG because you can see the MIG wire sticking through here. It looks like they used gal plate in there. Where the gal was, it survived, but the rest of the panel just rusted away. Pinholes all the way through the bottom there. Lots of dints all the way through this panel. Up here it's really thin as well with a lot of corrosion. Well, back there, which is towards the back. Inside the panel, everything's really good. You can see it's fully solid in there, no holes or anything in there. Just this back section here all corroded away. So now that's all repaired on the inside. I'm going to take that little patch panel up there, and I'll show you, I'll bring it over to me plasma and I'll show you what I did over there. I use it as a table. I'll show you what I did there just to make it look better. Okay, so we have the rusty panel over here, which kind of looks like that when it's in one piece. That bit's part of the lower sill. That's the jacking point there. You can see there where it's busted its way through, and you can see now at close range that panel didn't look too bad. A couple of little dots there, but let me just turn that light on. There you can see the back of that. You see the back of that panel there, like just how rusty that is. So again, if I didn't cut that inner quarter off, this mess would have been still on the car. So what I did was I assembled it down here, just how it would sit normally on the car, and I made a tape template of it. So if I stick that back on where it goes, fits into those grooves there, like that. Lower sill sticks down there, and so you can see it like that at the back, and then this jacking point here fits in like that. I made it a little bit longer at the end in case I'm short. Just a little bit longer. But there you can see how it fits together on that side and what it's like on the front. There's the bottom part of it. From there, I transferred, where'd I put that? Put it over there, oh, right there. I transferred this to a bit of plate, and then I traced around it. This is, how thick is this steel? The same thickness as the rest of it. Let me see what we got here. Over here we have, what is that? Let me find a good bit of steel here. Maybe on this corner somewhere. Maybe on the bottom lip here. There you go, it's 1.5 mil. And then the same with this bit, 1.45, something like that. So there I've got that transferred over to there. And then what I do is I stuck this bit of tape down on top of it. I'll show you how it lines up. I stuck it to the plate. I already have a bit extra on that end, a little bit extra on the top, and then I allowed a bit extra on the front side there, so you can kind of see how that fits together. So now what I'm going to do is I got a mark here and a mark here. I'm going to draw my fold line, which is that line through there, across the middle of this with a art line texter. So there's my fold line. Now I'm not sure if my press over there, or my hand brake, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure if it's strong enough to bend this thickness plate, but I'm going to give it a go. So it goes that way, so that's folding under, and I need to try and maintain this angle, so I'm just going to get something to try and match that angle up. We'll see how we go. So I've got this little cheap and nasty angle gauge. It'll go anything from, it'll go all the way around actually. I can go whatever size I want on it. It'll do a full 360 pivot. What I've got to do is I'm going to try and find this outside angle here. So I'm just going to stick it on the plate in an area where I know it hasn't been beaten out of shape. Check it in a few locations. This tells me I have a 33 degree bend on there. So when I bend this plate on the press over there, on the pan brake, I should get it bent to about 33 degrees. So I'm going to try and bend this, then mark these sections here where they drain the water, mark them on here. Once I got the... Right, so we've got our plate bent up here. I've marked the centre of where I want the jacking point put in there. I have a bolt that I have lineaged the end to the same radius. I have just a, what do you call it, a water socket just there, and I'm going to put this on. I'm going to heat this up in that area there. I've sent it pop in the middle of it so I remember my centre, because as soon as I put heat on it, the texture mark will burn away. And once I heat that glowing red, then I'll put this on top of it over there, and I'll jack this down into it, and we'll press that jacking spot into it. I'll just get some more light and we'll do that. Gloves. I just have a standard trade flame. I think it's like LPG or whatever the gas is here. I'm just going to heat the centre of that up with this. Once it's glowing red, I'm going to put it on top of there and press. Let's give that a go. Put it on there, directly above the hole. Hold that there. Give this a couple of pumps to get it attached. Let's see. Press that into it. It'll distort a bit until I straighten it back up again. Let's have a look at that, see how it looks. That's looking pretty good there. I'll get it on some plate and give it a straighten up, and I'll show you how it looks. So it's still a bit hot, but I just dolly that edge back down then. That's how it currently looks, that little piece. That's looking pretty good. There's the dome shape in there. That's the actual ball that I pressed into it there. You can see the shape of what I pressed in. That's that. So what I got to do now is I got to mark out these groove sections here and put those dints into it. So I'll take you back over the table and we'll get that sorted. Okay, so I got the template here. I put it on top. Put on top of here. I just put a mark in like a dot in the corner, a dot in the sides there on each of these pieces. Projected the lines through. Marked out these. I'm not sure if you can see them there in the. Where is it? There. Yeah, you can see. I marked out where those two slots are going to go. So similar to what I did with the press and pressing that that jacking point in there, I've actually got to bend this back down a bit. All that pressing has lifted it down, and it's also put a bit of a bow in here. So I'm going to get on the stretcher and shrinker in a second. Just put a couple of stretches in there, because if you look at this on the bench now, it kind of rocks from that point there where I did the pressing. So I'm going to put a bit of a stretch in along the outside of here, just to try and open it up and bring it back in, and hopefully this bends in. If it doesn't, I'll tap it back in, because I think that angle's out now. But just so you can see how the template fits on there, this slot here is I don't know why it's there. It's like a position where you line it up underneath the car. I think there's a couple of drain grooves or dents in the sill, inner sill part I made over there. So I line it up with that bit there. I marked those grooves that are going to be in there, which are these ones that you can see here. So that pretty much sits on top of there like that. You can see those grooves fit down. Oops, I'm going to unstick it. Those grooves sit down into those slots there like that. That's how it fits. And then transfer them here. Now I've got to work out a way to support this both sides here and at the sides there, and just heat that center there and just knock it down. Knock it down with the end of like a panel beater's hammer. Just try and knock it in bit by bit, keep heating it, knocking it down. Then I'll have to probably square this whole thing back up again because it's going to distort to the shit house. But if I get it hot enough, this bit here I didn't actually get it hot enough, it wasn't red enough, and it started pulling the panel. So when I get to the opposite side, I'm going to heat it a lot hotter. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, there's a lot of stress marks in the scale. I didn't descale these, but I didn't need to waste my time. But you can see a lot of stress marks in the scale there where it really shouldn't have done that too much if I heated it enough. But it's looking pretty good, and it fits the panel, fits the car over there really well. I got to put a little nick in here and bend the two ends around so it fits in. Drill a couple of holes in the back of the wheel well, pretty much right there from the inside. So when I spot weld it onto that inner panel, it'll be spot welded inside from the opposite side. And then I've got to cut that main panel back a bit higher. Show you what I'm talking about there. That main panel there, I've got to cut a bit higher so I can actually access the bit where I'm going to weld this with this on inside. So it's getting a bit late at night tonight now. It's probably, what's it, pushing 10 o'clock. I can't go hammering and bashing around in here. A lot of neighbours around, but that's what we're looking at so far. That's the panel, and I'll grab the sill and I'll show you how it looks compared to the actual sill that's going to go onto it. So there's the panel I just made. There's the purchased, it's not the sill, it's the bottom section of the sill, but it's also the front quarter. When I put these two pieces together, you can see those dents I got to put in this, or those grooves I got to put in. They line up with these slots here as drain holes. So if you look at that, they line up perfectly there, and that bit there is where the jacking hole goes. So this is how a coupe looks compared to this skin having a full piece around here with that shape in it on a sedan. See, that's how it's looking. That's how they sort of fit together on the inside. That's how they look internally. It's looking pretty good at the moment. So this is the heavy gauge bit for supporting the car when you jack it. This is the light outer panel, which is just your outer quarter. If you want to see what you've got to order, this one says HQ to Z. I think they only made HQ to HJ, I think, in coupes, so it's actually incorrect what they got there. But it says here, Avesca Proprietary Limited, R303 suits door to rear lower wheel arch, rush repair panel, HQ Monaro coupe. So get that light away, it's a bit bright. You might be able to see it a bit better. Bounce that light off the roof, how's that look? Where is it? Right there. Right there. So that's what it actually says. And that's the piece. That's the wheel arch. That's the section on your the A pillar, B pillar. And that's the bit that joins the sill. Only one fault with this product from Avesca, and I emailed them about it. I'll grab the other piece and show you. So they've acknowledged their mistake with it, and they're going to rectify it. If you look at If you look at this one, this is the opposite side, right? So this is the left-hand side. It has this little small pressing here. This is where it matches up to your sill panel. Like if you picture that as the sill joining it on the opposite side, that's where it fits in nice and flush there, where they spot weld them together, and they fill that bit with lead, or there's a bit of brass on that one over there, so I don't know what happens. But if you compare that one to this one, you can see the one I've got to put on this right-hand side doesn't have that pressing in it, but the one on the left-hand side does. So I'm going to have to press that line up in there myself so these two match. All right, I'll finish up for the night here and we'll get back on it tomorrow. Right, this is where we're at. Last time I showed you I had this thing bent up, had the hole pressed in the end of it. What I've done now is I've made a bit of a timber buck. You can see down here, I just cut this, whatever this angle is, off the side of it with the circular saw. I ground these grooves in there. They match the grooves that are going to get put in this plate here on these marked lines. I'm going to now tech screw this to that plate there, and I'm going to try and cold form this. It's going to get pretty loud using the little air chisel, obviously with some hearing protection on. All right, here we go. This could get noisy. See, I'm kind of getting there. It's not an easy task by any means. Don't ask me to make you one, it's a pain in the arse. It's kind of working okay. Got a little bit deep there, I'll be able to knock that back down, but just got to be careful I don't punch through the metal. I've got a bit more to go on this side here to try and form it, then I'll take it off and I'll dolly it all flat again. Had to put an extra couple of clamps and some more tech screws in there to hold it flat. I've got to de-stress it because it wants to bend up this way now because the grooves off here. There you can kind of see what I've got there now. It's got a bit of dolly work to go. You can see back of it's a little bit distorted out of shape, but I'll be able to, what I was thinking about doing was, I wish this dolly was a bit smaller, but what I'm going to do is I have this dolly as part of my dolly set over there, which I'll show you. Oops, which way is it? This way? Yeah, you can see it right here. So I'll be able to mount this in the top of it now, sit this on top of it and dolly it back to get the shape better. Right, so we'll put the sandbag off, take this off, put it on this stump, and this little baby in here. Get some earmuffs on again, dry them up, turn the music on and start dollying it. Whew. That's hot. Alright, so getting pretty close. I'll have to weld up these holes here. You can see it's got a little bow in it. I'll knock it down on the back end, stretch it back out. Probably just stick it on the planisher and do it, but I might be able to just knock it down here on the top of the plate. Switched over to a 3M clean and strip disc. There you go, that's looking pretty bloody good now. I just got to grind a bit of the sharp edge on some of these here. Clean the back off as well, because I've got to put some weld through primer on the edge here and full enamel the back. And I don't want it rusting up again, so I'll finish just stripping it up with this strip disc here, and I'll give it a prime and I'll leave it for the night because it's getting a bit late again. We're about 10 o'clock again, so yeah, but you can see from the rusty panel to a paper shape to a rough cut steel piece, marked it out, heated up, pressed the jacking point into it, you can see there, then transferred that to a piece of wood, made a bit of a buck on the piece of wood, screwed it down onto it, and there's a couple of hours in that. There's probably 2 or 3 hours in that. Obviously I'll cut out all the boring bits so you don't see all the crap, but yeah, that's a good looking panel. Alright, that's how it looks on the back. That's how it looks on the front. Pretty bloody good. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go test fit it in the panel over there. It looks pretty close. I'll come back tomorrow, weld up these front holes here, weld up these bottom holes here, and I'll prime it up. I'll probably prime it tonight so it doesn't rust, just with a bit of weld through primer anyway. Right, people, so you seen how I started off with that rusty panel there? From that I made a tape template. You can see I just stuck tape over the top of it, pushed it down into those grooves there, marked it all out, marked the hole position, marked those grooves. From there I had to work out how to press that divot into it. Well, this was 3mm plate, so I did a test piece on 3mm. That was too big, that lump. It was like, if you look at that one compared to the size of that one, look at the height of that. Look at this one's actually too exact and too precise. I actually made that one too well. But in 3mm plate, just shows that you can press it if you heat it up. And what I did was to do that, I got a bolt, ground it round, linished it on the sander, made sure it fit the radius perfect. You can see this one I made. I went full depth on it, which was too deep. This one here was perfect. It was like 3/4 depth. So once I worked out how to do that, I then cut out a piece of steel, kind of that shape. This one's at about a 1mm plate. Cut a piece of steel out just like that to the shape that I needed, which was template size. You can see there's the template, plus a little bit more just to allow for any. I got to bend that end down yet. That end there, it's got to bend down to match what's on the coupe. From there, I transferred this to a bit of timber. So you can see on the timber there, I made it longer because when if the other side's stuffed too, I need to make one over this side but reverse. It's got a lot of shit on the back of it now, but I need to make one for the opposite side but reverse. So I've got the angle already cut here, and I'll have a left and right hand buck. It's just rough. It's just, I don't even know what angle that actually worked out to be. I had an angle gauge on it. Tried just tech screwing it down and air chiseling. I just sanded that hole with like a little Dremel sort of thing, and I air chiseled it a bit just to put the nice dint in it. Tech screwed bit of steel down, which I'd already pre-cut and pre-bent that edge, and I'd already pressed that hole in it. So I thought, oh, how do I get it close? So what I did was I got the end of this bolt, heated it red hot, and I just pushed it into the timber. Pushed it in a couple of times, got rid of the charcoal, pushed it back in again a few times, and you can see there I burnt it in there. It made the exact shape that I needed. I went deeper by about, well, this is 1.5 mil plate, so I went deeper by about 2 mil than I would here. So you can see this one sticks out a fair bit on the pressing, but on the back it's that deep, which you can see on the back here. So that depth there. So then I had it in the right position. I knew it would fit into that hole. I marked around it so I knew it wouldn't. I couldn't misplace it. I sat the plate on top of it, tech screwed it all down, and then I started beating into that with an air chisel. So I'll grab the air chisel and I'll show you what I did. It would have been better if if it was exactly the right size. It's there's lots of sawdust on the floor here. You can see here I just rounded off the end of the pointy air chisel that you get with these. This is just Blackridge, just cheap, super cheap auto stuff. It did the job. So, I'll show you what I did. You've probably seen it in the video there before if you watched all of it. If you didn't, go back and check it. And I just air chiseled. Want to hear the noise? I just air chiseled through those grooves in there. And then I took it over to my dolly table there, and I just fixed the back up a little bit because it was a little bit out of shape on the back of these, and I just wanted it to be better than it was. So once I'd come back over here, I picked up the old rusty bit, I laid it down into the groove, made sure it fit nice and neat, which it does. Then I realised it had this slight kick up. See how it's got like a slight kick in it? That's to match the shape on the coupe, so I had to do a couple of bends there. I just put them over a bench and hit them with a hammer. Got them to the right shape. Once that was done, I then took it over. Jeez, this garage is a mess. I then took it over to the coupe and I put it in position up under here. And it fits really well. It's got to go back that way when I bend that little tab down. It fits about in that location there. But